Salutations friends, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a review and also a chit chat. So the first thing is today I'm going to be reviewing Magnolia Rosae from Maison Lancome. And I'm really excited to review this fragrance because this is my favorite line, or it's tied for my favorite line in regards to designer lines, like higher end lines. So think of Dior Privé, Armani Privé, the private labels or private blends from Tom Ford. Lancome has their Maison Lancome line, and it's one of my absolute favorites. But I'm going to be reviewing this for you guys, and I'm also going to chat a little bit about the line too. I'll let you guys know my thoughts about the current state of where the line is going. So if you'd like to know my review and sit down for a little chit chat, then keep watching. First things first, the review will be the first few minutes of the video. That way, if you're only coming here for the review, you do not have to sit through the entire thing. And as always, I purchased this. This was not sent to me to review. Now the notes in this fragrance are obviously, you have magnolia, there's rose, saffron, ambrette, musks. There's also a blackcurrant note in there and a very important suede leather note. We're gonna get into that. Now this fragrance I think is really beautiful, and I love how it smells sweet, velvety, and smooth on the skin. It has a very strong rose note in the opening with a tart black currant note. It's not jammy, but they do play together to be like a tiny little bit fruity. And then after about say 20 to 30 minutes, you get this really beautiful lush white floral just feeling that sweeps over the fragrance. And when that white florals sweeps over the rest of the fragrance, it kind of takes shape into this beautiful kind of rosy, fruity magnolia fragrance that has some soft velvety aspects to it and some slight animalic muskiness in the base. But the thing that I really want to talk about is this suede note, and on my skin it gets pretty predominant after the first 2 to 3 hours. So the reason why I really want to mention the suede note is that it's not really marketed to be a leather fragrance, and it's not marketed to be a suedey, leathery scent. It's marketed to be more of like a delicate, sweet, semi-fruity floral fragrance that's really focusing on magnolia and rose. And and let me just say, I love this kind of leathery, suedey, velvety note that it has. I think it adds a lot of sexiness to this fragrance that some of the fragrances from Maison Lancome lack, except for like fragrances like Oud Bouquet, which I think are just dang attractive. And I like that this doesn't smell exactly, and I'm not saying this is a dupe for it, it's more expensive, but if you like fragrances like Bottega Veneta, the Eau de Parfum, and you want something a little bit lighter, a little bit fresher, a little bit more youthful, I think that the core of this fragrance works really well. I think the fruits and the florals with this really gorgeous leather suedey note is something really nice. But it's not really marketed to be that kind of fragrance, which is why if you just blindly buy this and you hate leather, depending on how your body chemistry works, you might pick up a leather note that you don't like. So definitely see if you can try this on your skin first. I do like the way that this fragrance progresses on your skin. Again, you get that kind of beautiful, kind of semi-tart, fruity rose fragrance from the blackcurrant. The musk is pretty much in the opening, which is really, really nice. And then you've got that really beautiful rose. And then once the white florals come out, it's just really lush and beautiful and sweet and feminine and romantic. And then you get that kind of sexy, velvety suede note after about an hour or two. So at the end, what you're going to be smelling is a very beautiful, sweet, semi-fruity floral bouquet, specifically centering on magnolia and rose, with a gorgeous kind of a musky, leathery heart. Even though those are the base notes, it's just kind of what it smells like. So if that's the type of fragrance that you like and you want something that's a little bit more daytime leather appropriate, or a great introductory to suede scents, this might be a good fragrance for you. But I don't know if I could recommend buying this blind, because I think that if your skin pulls leather too harsh, it could kind of make the balance off. Or if you don't like leather. The fact is that the fact that there's like a predominant leather note, at least on my skin, I have to say proceed with caution if you don't like leather. But the leather isn't super overpowering but it is present, and it is something that at least I can pick up when I wear it on my skin. So I just wanted to let you guys know that. But it is very beautiful, very feminine, very whimsical, very pretty, very well put together fragrance, and it's something that I enjoy. Longevity of the scent is fantastic. I get about 8 to 10 hours on my skin with moderate projection. So for the performance of this fragrance, it is excellent, and I would expect that looking at the notes on the composition. So at the end of the day, I really think Magnolia Rosae is a really beautiful, feminine, flirty, youthful, kind of sweet, floral, fruity, semi-leather scent, and I think that a lot of people will really enjoy it. But if you do not like leather, proceed with caution, just in case the leather is a little bit too dominant for your liking. So that being said, that is my review of Magnolia Rosae. But what I want to talk about stemmed from a comment I got a while ago, and it was talking about Maison Lancome and how their fragrances aren't as exciting. And I don't remember who told me the comment, and I'm so sorry I don't remember. If you remember who you are, please take credit below for this discussion, because I think this is something that's kind of important to talk about. So when we look at fragrance lines and we look at how houses develop their lines, they curate their collections. There are some houses that it just seems their private lines are filled. Tom Ford, Tom Ford, Tom Ford, cough, cough, Tom Ford, where it seems like they're just constantly adding, and not editing. And I think that in some cases that's really good, because that means if somebody has an old favorite, or if somebody has a fragrance that they really love, there's a less likely chance that it's going to be discontinued and hard to find. I feel like Lancome has the exact opposite problem. In fact, that they over-edit and they over-curate their collections. Because these fragrances, I think, are only out for a handful of years before I feel like they're discontinued or they're reformulated. And I feel like there's been a lot of attention and hype around this line because of the quality, because of the beauty and the kind of like ingenuity that they're coming out with, creating some really bold compositions, not new compositions, but they're just kind of like really bold, really powerful, but also very palatable and easy to wear and understand. So if you want to get into ouds, they've got some great ouds. If you're a little bit worried about some like patchouli or fig or specific aromatics, there's some great fragrances that are not only beautiful and near masterpieces, but also easy to wear. And I think that's why a lot of hype has been around the Maison Lancome line. But the problem I have with their fragrances, and there's two things that I have, is I firstly love them, but I feel like they're playing it too safe with their releases, and they're editing things and they're adding things where it feels like it's just a touch too similar. So I'm going to talk about two fragrances, Roses Parfait and Roses Barbarenza. Those are two of my favorite fragrances from the line. And those fragrances, if you close your eyes and you smell them next to each other, they smell like sisters, like one slightly older, one slightly newer. They're very cohesive members of the family. They're each a little different. You could get one over the other, or you could get both. This one's a little bit more sweet. This one's a little bit more nutty. But at the same time, they're two beautiful, distinctive floral fragrances, and specifically dominating the rose department. And I think that they're fantastic. And they kind of came out around the time that Jasmine's Marzipan came out, when they were kind of redoing, you know, the reformulating new bottles, all that kind of stuff. And I'm not going to go too much into the history of this. I'm just kind of talking off the top of my head. So if I make any mistakes, please correct me below. But I find that they had like Oud Ambrosia, they had L'Atre Oud. I had an old formulation bottle. I'm kicking myself for selling it, but I do like the new formulation too. They had Oud Bouquet. The old and the new formulations are fantastic, depending on which one you like more. I do like both. And there was so much hype and attention and love around these fragrances. And then I feel like in order to add new fragrances, they subtracted so many things to add things that either smelled identical to what was already there, or just adding things that almost smelled less inspired and a little bit more watered down, albeit very beautiful, wearable fragrances that are awesome and I enjoy, but not near to the amount of beauty and originality to some of the originals. I mean, La Vente Trianon was a beautiful interpretation of a very kind of I see lavender in fragrances being more aromatic, more medicinal, and you don't see that kind of soft, powdery sweetness that lavender can have. Usually you see that with violet and iris, and sometimes those notes can be a little bit too overpowering for people, but there was something about the lavender in La Ventriana that was just beautiful, and you didn't see that type of fragrance around, and they cut it to add more rose dominant fragrances. And as much as I love their rose, it's just, it smells similar. And I'm gonna have to say the same thing with this one, Magnolia Rosae, and the other fragrances that I'm gonna be reviewing in the future. You close your eyes and you smell it, and it smells like another sister. Maybe the other sisters are in high school and the parents want to have another baby, so they had a baby a few years later, you know? Like, it's that sweet, semi-fruity, but bright rose scent, that feeling, that DNA is in all of these, and I feel like they could be flankers and not originals. They fit more of the flanker category than the original new release as a part of the Maison Lancome line. And I'm disappointed in that, because not only are they discontinuing some fantastic fragrances that are hard, those compositions are hard to find in the market, done successfully and accessibly. I can't say words, because even though these are pricey fragrances, the price point with the quality and the presentation and the performance, it's not out of the realm of possibility. Spending $195 on a bottle when they have 30% off sales and really awesome gifts with purchases, like, the price, you get fantastic performance, a beautiful fragrance, perfect presentation, some of my favorite bottles in the game. You're just getting something beautiful and attractive and semi-unique, and it just feels like they're being lazy and they're regurgitating the same rose, super fruity DNA over and over and over again. Do I like that DNA? Yes, I do. I really enjoy it. I think it's beautiful, I think it's wearable, and I enjoy smelling like that, and I think that's fantastic. But I don't think that they need to over-edit their line. I don't think that they need to remove fragrances that are unique and different as part of the lineup to make room for the same thing. That's the problem that I have. If they keep these fragrances, and so say they have Magnolia Rosae, and I know that they've discontinued some of the other fragrances that I've mentioned, you know, specifically the rose ones, but they didn't need to discontinue those fragrances. They could have left those and left the lavender and done something new with like a wood. I would have loved to see them take on a woody aromatic fragrance in a way that was just bold, but also very feminine and, you know, modern. I think that would have been fantastic. I love what they've been doing with ouds. I think if they had taken kind of more citrusy, fresh, woody take on an oud, I think it would have been fantastic. I would have loved to see them focus more on other flowers rather than just rose. I mean, what they did with lavender was exceptional. I like what they did with iris. I absolutely love Jasmine's Marzipan. It is a top tier S fragrance for me. And I think if they had gone the way of maybe playing around with orange blossom, or playing around with lotus, or playing around with violet, I would love to see what Maison Lancome does with some of these fantastic talented noses with a violet dominate scent. But they just seem to focus on this heavy rose note, and it's lazy, and that's the problem that I have with it, because not only are they being lazy, but they're needlessly removing these fragrances to make way for lazy compositions, and that's the problem that I have. Can they get themselves out of this problem? Yes. They can stop being so dang just gung-ho about removing fragrances. They don't need to only have what feels like 6 fragrances in the Maison Lancome lineup. They could probably get 10 to 12, bring back some of these other ones, edit if you're gonna bring another rose fragrance, and maybe remove one of the other rose fragrances. But I just feel like they're being too gung-ho with editing, too gung-ho with removing and discontinuing fragrances, and they're bringing in things that just smell the same or redundant. And I think that they need to step up their game, because this is a house I genuinely love. This is a house, I think, again, quality rise, bang for your buck. You're getting great performance, a beautiful fragrance, fantastic presentation. Even the lazier scents are really, really nice. And I just kind of want to see them kind of stop stop editing so much, stop discontinuing, stop reformulating, just sit down, figure out maybe these fragrances, maybe the lavender one didn't do so well, then maybe only offer it, you know, for like a small bottle or something. I don't know, but everybody I know is more upset about the fragrances that are being discontinued than the fragrances that are staying, because the fragrances that are staying, they're like, these aren't even that good compared to the ones that they're getting rid of. I'm telling you right now, they discontinue like Oud Bouquet or Jasmine's Marzipan, I'm flying my butt over there and I'm going to make a stink, because there's no way I'm allowing that to happen. But, my big old but, it's their company. They have a vision for this lineup. I'm a huge fan of, you know, these fragrances, but I just wish that they would be a little less proactive with discontinuing scents and kind of trying to figure out what the market needs, filling holes in that market in a way that only they can do. And I think that seeing how they create fragrancing, the quality, the presentation, the price point, they can do it. I just kind of wish they would. So do I think they're being lazy with their marketing? Yeah, I do. I actually think they do. I think that they're falling into that problem where you see in a lot of designer fragrances in their main lines kind of following the same DNA because that's what sells. So they all kind of smell the same or ridiculously similar. And that's fine for your basic lineup. But we're talking about like the higher end, more niche, luxury quality lineup from Lancome. This is where you take chances. This is where you don't fall into the category of yet another La Vie Est Belle flanker in another pretty bottle. You know, you have the love, you have the market to push forward and do something daring and semi-risky with this line. And I kind of wish they would, because every time they've done it, it's just to me been really successful and really beautiful. So that's kind of my thoughts on this current state of Maison Lancome. Just because I think that way doesn't mean I'm correct. That's just my opinions, and it was stemming from a comment and somebody left asking about this, and I kind of wanted to discuss it a little bit with you guys. So I would love this to be a discussion. Please let me know if you agree or disagree with me in the comment section below, and just what are your general thoughts on how this line's been going? Let me know below. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time. Bye!